called Reluctant Lovers. More light, rumored to be the last words of Goethe. Reluctant lovers. The road was curving, but always upward. They found that when lying with foreheads touching, the lights moved from violet to green, and then to saffron and white. Suddenly, it seemed quite possible to reconcile Rachmaninoff with Debussy, Sandburg with Sappho, bachelorhood with motherhood, and yellow roses with amaryllis. The white lights were pinpricks, glimmerings of previous experience, unremembered but unforgotten. The unmistakable sensation of belonging somehow together, the protoplasm meshing along with the light beams. 15 years or lifetimes spread through their touching. Their mass became the vehicle as velocity enveloped them. And finally, dropping their reluctance like a pair of old shoes, they were last seen Icarus-like, leaving behind the darkness the banshee cries of torment, flying towards the light. So that was Reluctant Lovers. That was from my first book. And then I also published a book called Leaving Wonderland, which I published just as I moved to Maui from San Francisco area. This is called Ah Yes, Love. Oh yes, love. That little moon-faced star longing to fold her soft green arms around you and hold in you the wonder of the universe, only to be broken yet again by the trumpetings of reality, petty angers, self-indulgence, the annoyances of daily life. How you long for her to stay, but the fragility of her tenderness, like the dropping petals of a rose, fades and dries into a perfumed dust of remembering, as the sweetness slips away, only to be glimpsed again, dimly, winking at you once more from another star, lost again in another universe. And there's always a man, right? Well, this was the man that got me to Maui. It's called Sweet Dreams. Sweet dreams. I dreamt I met a man with a tongue like strawberries in the night. His coating was thick and sweet, and the smell of salt clung to his skin. Dreamy fluid, strawberries melted down my back, sliding bones crunching, fruit slurping into sweet oblivion. I dreamt I met a man with the ocean in his blood and the moon in his eyes. Waves cresting, tides moving, hot blood burning white with slow moon rising, eyes speaking, fingers still, smiles touching. I awoke. And then, of course, the Maui books came out, Maui Muses, Volume 1. This is called Rowdy Love Poem. And this was actually a challenge, because the very first retreat, we were camping in Kahakaloa, and Wide, then Frank Garcia, offered to have a midnight nude poetry reading and writing. So everybody was all geared up. Nobody showed up for the midnight poetry reading, but I wrote a poem, and here it is. It's called Rowdy Love Poem. That was a great retreat. Rowdy Love Poem. I want to write a rowdy love poem. A poem about juice and flesh and hair and sweat. A poem about a phallus riding triumphantly, watering at heaven's door. A poem about the sweet texture of that skin against my tongue, the place hung with sacks of power and oceans of DNA waiting for receivership. I want to write a rowdy poem. A poem about you riding me, of my feet punctuating the ceiling, and my hoarse cries breaking the night's stillness. I want to write a really rowdy poem, love poem, sex poem, heart song, about how my thighs clench, about the end madness brought on by your always, always, always goading me to that electric point that circles the stars and twists me into salvation. Yeah. I want to write a really rowdy love poem and then pour it into your mouth. that fun? I don't read that one very often, and I would not do it on mic. Okay, so.
I challenge you.
Here. First tango. I wrote this in honor of Melanie when she took me for my first tango lesson. And it's a love poem about tango. First tango. Shadows grace a candle-lit wood floor as silken soft Argentinian melody weaves them into dancers, a web of life alive in Honolulu. Men are courtly and elegant, women exquisite and desirable. I am transported into another time when mystery still wrapped the arms of dance around the dancers and possibilities of love abound. And then there was Gary. Intentions. He intended to write a world-class novel, forget love and his heartbreak, radical roots and a small island heritage brought reality to his work and intensity to his desire. She intended to write world-class poetry. Alcoholism, poverty, and a nomadic childhood had left her longing for verse, such as Sappho created, to evoke a vision of a perfect world only found on paper or in a lover's arms. It was dark, so dark he was only a shadow, his touch more real than sight, his fingers clutching toes, ankles, light holding dark. His breath became her world. I didn't intend, she said, to fall in love with you, exchanging breath for breath, each to each, sliding through skin into that place lost, that place found, that place somewhere between touch and the spoken word. She dozed in the early morning, listening as his fingertips spoke to the world. I didn't intend, she murmured, to fall in love with you. I only intended to write a perfect poem. And this is one that came out of my creative writing class with Vinnie Linares at MCC when I was working for my English degree. Had a lot of fun in that class. And this one is called Love, and it's modeled on the poem Poetry by Frank O'Hara, which was an interesting thing, to take a poem and try and model yourself after that same type of cadence and meter and rhyme, if there was one. So this is called Love. Love slips silently into your heart while you, unaware, are busy with life's small moments. It takes you completely by surprise. You are not intending to fall suddenly in love. No, you have other plans for the day. Shopping, or perhaps going to the laundry or the movies. But in comes that person, and there's that goofy feeling, that excitement surging through your belly like a warm sponge. You tell yourself, it's only pheromones or proximity. They are the responsible party. But no, it's you, frozen by love's headlights, motionless as a deer on a dark highway. This one's called MacArthur Park, and I wrote this in April 1999 at the Lahaina House. MacArthur Park. The quarter was bent, and the chairs found lying down in the backyard. A wind came through and blew all the cuckoos away, and still, lying between the cracks, the sun shone and the birds sang in the sandy ravines. Tomorrow was left behind yesterday. I don't remember how to fly the Cessna anymore. If it were time to leave, I'd have to trust my wings and fly with the sun-cast currents in the darkening sky. There would be no maps to tell me how this land lies in the continents we call home. The coming has become the leaving, and going home is now only found in your arms. I don't know why the tears still sting unexpectedly when everyone is singing. I've forgotten which words to sing. The verses have changed since the arrival of the spring butterfly. Her colors are different this year, far more beautiful than ever before. You told me once that you were in MacArthur Park in your 20s and how the trees glinted green in the sunlight, that you saw old women playing card games, and that it wasn't safe to go there at night anymore. I wondered if our paths had crossed even then somehow. I wondered if the footsteps leading inevitably towards our meeting were the dance of our past and our future. And I thought of the bent coin, how it wouldn't fit in the candy machines at MacArthur Park, and how the chairs blown over last night in the spring wind were dancing to our song. This is a belated Valentine for Gary. It's very quiet here now, and although you are on the Hokulea somewhere in the blue, last evening you were on my mind. Tonight, thoughts of you tumble in free fall from an infinite memory, never ending, like the stars blinking in your night sky. Diana, I shoot and miss my target. Trees darken in the west. Long shadows loom and lengthen. Squirrel, rabbit, and coyote I protect. All is peace. I pause, female flesh and wood nymph, motionless. Suddenly, the sunset reflects in a still pond. Again, I pull an arrow from my quiver. I draw it against the glowing sky, my small pointed tip, so powerless, against Venus. And this one gave a love affair away.
This is what?
This one gave a love affair away. There's a story. But this one's entitled The Tides Rise with the Falling Moon. And it's very much a metaphor of love. The tides rise with the falling moon. Take me into that secret storm of yours, the place of ice and lightning where the soles of my feet are scalded in white-hot moments of truth. This surf comes in sets of 3s, 5s, and 7s, an ephemeral region of shifting sand and sea. The tides rise with the falling moon. The steps of Asia touch my arching toes, stretching across a continent of dreams. This shelf leads into a lost forever, where roving bands ride in the night, camel bells are heard, and your name comes back to me through the tomes of time. Riderless horses gallop against the night sky. The hoofbeats ring in my ears. We have come and gone again from these plains. I long for this measureless beating of my heart, to sway again against your back as we ride the night's long shadows. The tides rise with the falling moon. My arms are tired. They are not accustomed to this raging sea. The waves go on forever. Crystal moonlight shines over silver waves arching high. My feet touch down. I feel your heaving breath. My heart races against your chest. Eyes shine. We do not speak as we paddle back in through the quieting sea. These tides rise with the falling moon. And I have some short ones from a few retreats. I'll wrap it up. This one is called To Gary. There is a shimmering between us after loving. The white light dances around your form, brown yet glowing. I know I too am clad in glory. Here's another short one. Please let me. This was a challenge from the retreat. Please let me. Please let me have another night as full as this, with poets, fire, Tongans singing and clapping in the next camp, their voices rising, with stars and wind and trees and sand and ocean, and you, of course, you. In the loop. Your arms surround me in the circle of warmth. I feel my soul rest. I am in the loop of love. That was another retreat. And this one I wrote just a few days ago. February 4th, I was flying over to Oahu or something. It's untitled. I feel the B717 Hawaiian Airline Flight 556 gather itself up for the flight to Oahu. Engines whirring right through me. I love that airplane buzz vibration. And we roll down the runway like a wild bird heading out to sea, released into the twinkling of the night. Another flight to you, my love. Your eyes, your voice, your arms. And I think of all the flights you've taken to my eyes, my voice, my arms. And I think we are winged beings now, this love bearing the lightness of birds heading south. And I'll conclude this belated Valentine love reading with this very small poem. Again, last retreat, it was a challenge called Explorer. Explorer, you, my darling, have turned me into a great explorer. I never dreamed I could truly learn love. Thank you very much. So much fun to give featured readings and actually give a reading myself. Wow.